This rabbit hole's too deep for me. Feel my brain getting real sore. Above the science guy. Above the science guy. Above the science guy. Above the science guy. I'm sure the world is spinning round, and gravity's pulling us down. That's curvature, 'cause Earth is round. No firmament to be found. Above the science guy. Above the science guy. Above the science guy. Above the science guy. Flat Earth is just a belief. There's no reason to be found. Dogma gives me no relief. Your ignorance is profound. Above the science guy. Above the science guy. Above the science guy. Above the science guy. Definition, no education, just confrontation.
Well, hi everyone, and greetings from Northern Michigan. This is Bob the Science Guy. Today I had a little problem, and that is that I went through all of the Flat Earth channels that I usually get my material from, and I didn't find anything that was worthy of my attention. There are no new arguments coming out in the Flat Earth. It seems like it's on its last legs, and quite frankly, is becoming rather boring. So I went back to my channel, and I went to the community tab and I looked at a question that I put out about 2 weeks ago. And that is, Nathan Oakley's got his housekeeping questions, so I thought maybe I'd ask my viewers to come up with some housekeeping questions of our own. Something for globe science, reality. So let's go through a few of them. Now, going through all of those responses, there were just so many really good questions, and I've picked out a few of them that I particularly like. Many times in the Flat Earth, they will tell you that the moon, the stars, the sun are just luminaries. They're points of light in the sky, and we don't know what they are. So, if they are points of light, how can you cast a shadow on a moon crater? Or how can you see a shadow of Jupiter's moon Io on the surface of the clouds? How do you cast a shadow on something that isn't there, or how do you cast a shadow on a light source? Now, while you can see a shadow in fog or in water that has a little bit of powdered milk in it, in order to get a sharp, high contrast shadow, the shadow has to be cast upon a solid object. That's what we see on the moon. That's what we see on the surface of Jupiter from telescopes on Earth. So how does that happen if they are points of light? Question number 2. If water always finds its level, why does the level of the water change during the day? So on your flat Earth with no gravity, what supplies the energy to move this water? Where does the water come from? Where does the water go to? What causes it to go up and down in a regular cycle? Question number 3. It seems the major way that the flat earthers try and claim that the Earth is flat is by showing the Earth is not curved. They want to falsify the globe. So tell me, how do you falsify the flat Earth? Question number 4. How many people know about this secret? How do they keep the secret a secret? What kind of control do they exert over their members to keep them from telling the rest of us? And how did you figure it out? Number 5. If the sun and the moon move in a circle over the flat Earth, what force causes them to do that? What force causes the sun to move in a circle from the Tropic of Capricorn to the Tropic of Cancer and back? Number 6. By popular demand. What is the airspeed of an unladen swallow? Question number 7. How do solar and lunar eclipses occur on a flat Earth? You know, sometimes it's fun to just ask the flat Earth what I call rhetorical questions. For example, if the Earth is covered with a dome because you can't have air pressure without a container, where do meteors come from? For Sleeping Warrior, if you look at a triangle on a flat plane, the sum of the internal angles of that triangle are always 180 degrees. Yet you draw a triangle from New York to Los Angeles to Anchorage, Alaska, and back to New York on the Earth, and the sum of the internal angles is 205 degrees. How do you explain that? And finally, for Nathan Oakley, can you cite a single scientific article in a legitimate peer-reviewed scientific journal that refutes a finding or a natural law or a theory in physics by saying it's a logical fallacy? Just one. Well, now that I have my housekeeping questions together and the studio is almost done, maybe I should start my own show. I could call it the Globe Earth Debate Show. I could be your host, okie dokie. I could bring in my science expert, my expert on everything scientific method, Heisenberg uncertainty. And then for comic relief, I'll bring in Darwin. What do you think? You know, there are even more great questions. For example, if level means flat, what is eye level? Does the sun have to speed up to make a one revolution around the Earth every 24 hours, depending on whether it's the Tropic of Cancer or the Tropic of Capricorn? According to perspective, if things go further away from you, they should decrease in angular size. Why doesn't this happen with the sun? Why do the stars rotate counterclockwise around the North Star, but clockwise around Cygnus Octantis? How thick is the flat Earth? Do you have a working model of the flat Earth? Over 50,000 people went to the South Pole as tourists last year. If they weren't at the South Pole, where were they? How high above London is the dome? Where is the dome anchored? And how thick is it? We can see an atmosphere on Jupiter, which moves. How can an atmosphere exist on Jupiter next to the vacuum of space? And what holds it on? If the second law of thermodynamics says that an atmosphere cannot exist next to a vacuum, why can't the universal law of gravity give you a reason that it can? Can an apparent force exert a force upon you? Well, guys, I think I've asked enough questions for today. So I'm going to let this be a nice, short, but concise video. So, signing out from Northern Michigan, this is Bob the Science Guy. Take a moment, hit that little like and subscribe down there. The subscription drive has really gone well, and I appreciate you keeping it up for a little while. We still have a few more to go. So thank you again for stopping by, and we'll see you again real soon. Well, hi everyone. How's the audio coming out on this? I'm going to check the chat real quick to make sure that it's right before I go on. Okay, so the audio is sounding good. Great. Well, this is something that's kind of new and different. As you know, I redid my studio. I've got a television up there for a second screen. I've got my main screen here in front of me, and I'm at the editing station right now. Just a little quick look around. See, it's all starting to come together pretty nicely. I did bring my old chair back because I like it. But other than that, let's see if we can go ahead and get some people out on this this meet. I'd like to try that out a little bit. So let's go ahead and get on up here to meet. Anybody out here? Y'all have the link? Let's go see where that link is. I'll go pull it. It's up in the description right now. But I'll go ahead and post it here. Let's get some people out here. I want to see whether or not this works. Dum, 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 dum. Let's see if that's up. All right, so now we're posting the link. Guys, come on in and join me for a couple minutes. Let's see if we've got anybody out here now. Tim, let's see if we can get you on in. Let's get over here to the right one. Hey, Tim. Tim, let's see if we can get you on in. Go ahead and you should be able to get the audio from YouTube on this. But go ahead and mute the main one there. Audio from the YouTube on this. Yeah, go ahead and mute YouTube. Hey, Kristen. You guys hearing me okay? We doing all right? Do you guys have audio from me in the meeting?
Looks like you have audio.
Okay, do you have audio to me in the meeting?
Yep.
Okay, good. Everything looks fine. All right, so where are you guys from?
Ireland.
Ireland. Hey, you know all my Fleur figurines and everything came from Declan Doyle out there in Ireland. He made those up, and he also, I think, made a Nathan Oakley for Simon Dan. I appreciate you guys stopping by and helping me out with the first trial of this thing. This is the first time I've ever hosted one of these meetings. And we're going to see how it goes.
Hey. Yeah, I'm in UK near London.
Yeah, London. I've heard of that. Never been there, so it doesn't exist, of course, but I've heard of London. Let's go see if we got anything else here. Brixie, you can join unprepared yourself if you want. That doesn't matter. You don't have anything prepared for this. I'm kind of winging it as it is. Let's see if we've got any other comments in here. Das gut. Sehr gut. Dankeschön. Apparently my audio is pretty good in Germany. Can't imagine many flirts would want to challenge Bob from Gently's channel. Oh, you would be surprised. They like to do it all the time. I've got one right now, P-Brain, that is just driving me absolutely insane with his idiotic shadows of Mount Rainier. Let's see, you're getting a little bit of an echo? Maybe we'll fiddle around with that a little bit, see if I can do something about it. Let me see whether or not maybe if I just go straight to the microphone, that's a little bit less of an echo, I would think. But I would like to try and find out whether or not you can still hear audio from presentations. Let me just throw a YouTube thing up here real quick. Dum dum dum. Let's just put something random out. I need to get some more memory for this thing. I can probably pretty easily double it. It's a little slow. Here we go. Come on. You can do it. I have faith in you. Oh God, this is a classic one here. All right, guys in the meeting, do you guys have the audio from the YouTube?
It's either the audio from the chat or it's YouTube. If we switch on the audio from YouTube, it will be drowned in echo.
No, I'm just saying I'm playing YouTube on the other channel right here. I'm wondering if you can hear. Can you hear the audio from that?
Plus, it's totally free.
No, I cannot.
I have to switch off the microphone and we have to go to the YouTube channel, so it's either or.
Okay. Well, actually, there is a way to do it without too much of a problem, but I can do
Introducing the most technologically advanced,
you said that you had some
topographically
issues with,
accurate,
echo, so let's
pseudoscience Earth model the world has ever
Can you hear
seen.
me?
Yeah, I've got
A
you.
model capable of making advanced
There you go. So we'll go ahead and head on back over here, and I'll put it back on. You should be able to get the YouTube audio with this. Come on.
You get in my place or just my iPhone?
Now this is Google Meet. So we're going to change this one back to loopback. All right, see if you get the YouTube audio now when I play it.
pseudoscience predictions about our world with stunning 3D animations and an easy-to-use globe comparison mechanism.
No, I can hear that.
You heard that one?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so that works. The only problem is there's a little bit of an echo with it, and I'm sorry about that. That's something I'm going to have to work on. I've got most of the audio down in the studio right now. I had to redo all of my audio here, but seems to be working pretty well now. So let's go see what we have coming up here in the chat. How did Factard end up with a wrench? He's special. That's how he got it. Sean Hawkins is special too. Let's see who else we got in here. I'm thinking I could probably make that a little bit bigger. There we go. Globe Earth debate sounds so serious. No, it's actually mocking the Flat Earth debate show. That's kind of why I did it. You didn't waste good whiskey money for this. You haven't wasted any money, man. Nobody's given me a super chat yet. Somebody's taking a bath.
I'm in a hot tub and I have a good beer in my hand.
Damn, you're my kind of guy. Somebody that can get on a YouTube channel in a hot tub. All right, what else we got? I'm just kind of running through you. Okay, Roger Rabbit, you can't do a meetup. Okay, that means this doesn't work for you. You've got to use Google Chrome for it. London, Ontario. I've been through there. African or
Have
European
you been to
winged?
Reykjavik, Iceland?
Iceland. Well, look on the bright side. We haven't tried to buy you yet.
Sorry?
I said, look on the bright side. Unlike your neighbors, we're not trying to buy you. So, Iceland's a cool place. They had a good book from Jules Verne. I think Journey to the Center of the Earth was set in Iceland.
Yeah, I was going to mention that actually.
Yeah. Well, let's see.
Because I see the glacier from my office every day when the weather is good, and it's like 100 plus kilometers away.
Yep.
And I can obviously see that almost half of it is missing.
Does that get mailed or faxed or what?
Yeah, just mail that to them.
This address?
Yeah. That was my wife, guys. I actually am married. This is fun. I'm in an organization where we have to rent an airplane once in a while. And I got a notice from them that they thought that my hours that were put on it were 1/10 of an hour off, so they sent me a bill for $5.60 by first class mail, and they want to check for $5.50. So, or $5.60. So I think I can probably go ahead and handle that. But yeah, that's ridiculous.
You may have to go start a GoFundMe.
Yeah, I'm going to have to start a GoFundMe. Yeah, guys, smash that super chat so I can pay my bill to the Civil Air Patrol. Jeez. You know, it's one of those things that I spend hundreds of hours a year volunteering for them, and they send me a damn bill for $5.60. It never ceases to amaze me how the bean counters work that way. But yeah, what do you guys want to talk about today? We probably have, let's see, what time we got now? It's 4:18 p.m. here in Michigan. I'll probably keep this thing going until about 5 o'clock. I just want to do it. I want to get one of my buddies on here so I can see whether or not I can boot him out. You know, my anti-porn bombing. There you go, Stinger. $5.60 for the Civil Air Patrol. Come and pay. Let's do it. Any flat earth bridge engineers here? No, I haven't seen Brian Mullins for a while, but thank you very much, Stringer.
Do you have any evidence for a flat Earth?
Yeah, I have plenty of evidence for a flat Earth. I used to live in Florida. Florida's about as flat a state as you can get, and every time I went down to the ocean, the horizon appeared to be absolutely flat to my eye. And that's my evidence for a flat Earth, and we can go from there to try and see whether or not that's true or even disprove it. So
I have evidence too. My hot tub water is pretty level.
yeah, that looks pretty level to me. I would use my head, but as you can see, it's really quite pointed. At least that's what they tell me all the time. But other than that, things are going pretty good. Anybody else have any evidence for a flat Earth? Oh, come on. We've only got 2 people out here. Let's get some more people on. Let's see how many we can put in here.
Well, when I live in the west coast of Ireland, and when I look out of my window, which is basically very close to the Atlantic Ocean,
Yeah.
I can clearly see the Statue of Liberty.
Yes. Can you see me waving? Can you see me waving here in Michigan? I'm the guy. I'm the guy in the striped shirt here. Hey, Factard. All right, so we got one super chat for the Civil Air Patrol, and the United States Search and Rescue Service thanks you for that. Let's see if we can do some for the studio here. Let's see, we got 159 people on here. This is pretty good. Now, everybody hearing everything okay? What do you guys want to watch today? We got any videos we want to see? We got another $5.60 for another 1/10 of an hour flight time from Orion Blue. There you go, my man. Thank you very much. Alice Mist, hello to you too. Everybody out there on a Saturday right now? I don't really have anything in particular I wanted to do today. This is mostly a test. So let's just kind of run through a little bit and see if we can find something.
Hey, Bob, I have a question.
A question.
Good. Is there, with the equinox coming up, is there any, like some sort of forum or some place where people can put in results and be able to share the results? I teach a science class and would like to be able to perhaps like collect a bunch of data from people's results from all over the world and be able to incorporate that into some of my lessons.
I could probably, we could probably host something here. I think some people are doing it. I was planning on doing it myself because last time, back in March, Blue Marble Science and I did it. And I thought I'd do it again, maybe get a hold of a buddy of mine up in Fairbanks, Alaska, which is about 65 north. And I've got somebody, I believe, over in Scotland. Now, where are you located, Tim?
I'm from Ohio.
Ohio.
Go Bucks.
Go Bucks. Go Bucks. I did my residency in Columbus, so I can't beat.
Oh, that's where my wife works.
Well, good deal. I did mine at Doctors Hospital. But
which one?
Doctors Hospital, the osteopathic hospital. There were two of them. There's Doctors North and Doctors West. I think they've got different names now. Yeah, but my wife and I went to Michigan State University. My mom and dad both went to the University of Michigan.
I'm so sorry about that.
Yeah, my mom and dad both went to the University of Michigan, so we still like everybody, though. Let's see. Steve, I got a super chat from you for $4.99 from Lansing, Michigan. I used to work for Lansing Mercy back in the old days when I was a paramedic. That was back in the Hill Street Blues era. Back in the 80s, Reagan was president, and they gave me IVs and a laryngoscope. I was doing well. We got Darth Vader out there, it sounds like. So, Tim, let me see whether or not maybe... Here, send me an email at this new fancy email address, and what I will try and do is see whether or not I can get back with you and see if we've got some sort of an internet thing that we're doing. Let's see.
Oh, this is Kelly D.
Oh, Kelly?
Yeah. Kelly D.
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't see your mouth moving up there. The only thing I saw moving was this cat down here, Tim.
Oh.
I'm thinking that email might work.
Let me see here.
Bob at bobthescienceguy.com. I'm thinking that the guy on the left, tilt your camera down. Oh, that would be Kelly. Okay, now one thing about those housekeeping questions, I probably phrased one of them kind of badly, and that is, what is the airspeed velocity of an unladen swallow? Now, a lot of people think that that's just a reference to Monty Python, and it is in a way, but I'm kind of curious, how would you calculate, Mr. Nathan Oakley, the airspeed of an unladen swallow? What kind of math would you use for that? Can you even do it? So that's the question right there. Google's got an interview question where they sit down and say how many golf balls fit in a school bus. The answer is about 500,000 because I got a head full of trivia. But you have to be able to figure out how to calculate that. What's the volume of a golf ball? How tightly can you pack golf balls? What's the internal volume of a school bus? What they want to do is see whether or not you can actually figure out how to even set the problem up. And I think that's an important thing to do. Because I think that's
Wouldn't you think that?
Well, even what size bus, Sean, would be a good answer. Because that means that at least you're thinking about there's a volume issue here. So we just don't have a lot of figures in the flat Earth, unfortunately.
It's funny that you brought that up because that's the exact experiment my students are doing right now.
Oh yeah? How many golf balls fit in a school bus?
Well, it's not a school bus, but in our classroom.
Now the question is are you going to follow Tesla's recommendation and forego the math and do a experiment? Or are you going to fill your classroom with golf balls?
No, we're not doing that, but we had some smaller boxes, and they figure out from the smaller boxes, and then we also measure the golf ball, and then we look at the different packing arrangements of the golf balls, and so we figure out what is the most efficient, least efficient way of packing those golf balls.
Now, what grade do you teach?
High school and college.
High school and college. So you actually have kids that can do real math and do real things. I'm looking for a middle school science teacher. One of the projects that I always wanted to do was take a 30-inch yoga ball and put it on a goal line at a football field in a marble and put that on the opposite goal line, and that would be one astronomical unit. Well, how big would the moon be, and how far away would it be from the Earth on that scale? Where would Venus and Mercury be? And how big would they be? And then start doing some of the outer planets. I think Jupiter and Saturn would be covered pretty nicely, probably with a good-sized softball or maybe a soccer ball. I'd have to actually do the calculation. But I do know that it's going to stretch out over several
miles. We did that
miles.
2 weeks ago. Yeah.
Did you film it?
You know what? But we have a science club, and we're talking about making a model and putting it out on our football field and taking some pictures of it.
Well, yeah, but I did the calculation for 100 yards being one astronomical unit. All right, Tim, let's see who you are. Welcome, Tim.
Me again.
All right. But, the cool thing about it is if you sit down and say, well, how far would it be to the nearest star 4 light years away? Now, from where I am in the middle of Michigan, and on the scale of 100 yards being an astronomical unit, you would have to go from my football field here in Michigan to Perth, Australia, and then to Calcutta, India, to get the 15,000 miles on that scale that would be the equivalent of 4 light years. Now, if you look at something like Polaris, which is 350, 400 light years away, that would be 1.5 times the diameter of the sun away from that little yoga ball on my football field.
But the sun is just 6,000 kilometers above the equator, so how can that be?
I know. How can that be? You got to sit down and try and figure that one out, man. But I guess the only answer is the sun's not real. You all have an individual demi-hemisphere. Or demisphere, I think they call it, because, hemispheres mean something else. Demisphere, I guess, means something different for them. And, there's no real sun up there. Everybody has their own individual sun that they see. That's why they can be in several different places at exactly the same time.
Makes sense.
Well, it works for me. If you don't know, make it up. And, as long as you have confidence when you put it out and scream logical fallacy, it must be true. Oh yeah, it's a luminary on the dome. That's the word I was looking for. Well, the transits of Mercury and Venus, of course, aren't real. They're just made up by NASA. You know, Captain Cook brought a representative of NASA with him on his ship to Tahiti and measured the transit of Venus there. So, you know, it's just NASA. Oh, yeah, that's right. Flat Earth does say that the sun is in more than one place at the same time because the sun is not a real object. But these luminaries that they talk about seem to cast shadows. And I'm still waiting for a good flat earther to try and figure out how a luminary or a light source will cast a shadow on itself. I mean, I haven't been able to figure that one out yet. But then again, I just went to Michigan State. Do they have a good answer for that down in Ohio there, Chief?
I have no idea.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right. You know, it's amazing how many teachers have contacted me. I'm really surprised about that. I guess
I have three answers: God, reptilians, and Freemasons.
God, reptilians, and Freemasons?
Yep.
Yeah, that's the trifecta, isn't it? I haven't seen you at the meetings lately. What's the
Flat
deal?
Earth Trinity.
Oh, no, that's a great question right there. If the sun is just a luminary, how do you get sunburn? I think you're just imagining it, to be honest with you. I think it's not you really being sunburned. It's people telling you you look sunburned to their eyes, and that must be some sort of a projection they're getting.
Aha.
Oh. The Quran says Muhammad flew to heaven on a winged horse. Is the flat earth community skeptical of this claim? You know, I don't know. I've got a standing invitation to Nathan Oakley and Quantum Eraser to come and debate me on one of their housekeeping questions, their choice. The only condition is it can't be on their channel, because I'm not going to give them control of a mute button and the volume control. Wish you could find a Freemasons. All you see in charge of fortune. Yeah. I guess you gotta be rich to be a Freemason. Okay, Secret G. Let me see if I can get you over here. Where'd it go? Question: if a plane drops a bomb, is the bomb affected by Coriolis? Yeah, I would assume it would be. Now your question is how much would it be affected? Why don't you go ahead and just pull that on out, and why don't you do the calculation? We'll let's see, in World War II, where they used unguided bombs, they generally flew around 24,000 feet above the surface. So how much of a difference would Coriolis cause in 24,000 feet? I guess that'll be your homework assignment, Chief. Hi, Bob from New Jersey. I got a moon burn last night. Well, that's not really true. You'd get frostbite from the moon because moonlight is actually cold, as we've heard many, many times. Oh, Finder, hi. I wish you had made a video about eye level a few weeks ago when I was at the Sears Tower. I could have done the experiment you mentioned. Well, yeah, that would have been kind of fun because I haven't been to the Sears Tower since it was the Sears Tower, to be honest with you. But it's about 140 miles from my mom's house over in Kalamazoo, and there's a train, and I got a college buddy that lives in Chicago. Are you kind of getting my drift that there may be something done about that in the not too distant future? And besides, it's indoors, so it's nice and warm in the winter. I know a Freemason. He's an artist, not rich. Neither was my grandpa Wolfie. You had a grandpa named Wolfie? Cool. Yeah, I know. We have a lot of Masons that don't have money. That's a common myth. They don't have money, but you know what they do have is they have a desire to serve their community and do good for other people. And that's basically what Masons are about. I never joined myself, but I do other public service. So, still waiting for a magnifying glass and someone to freeze an ant with the moon. That's Tusik, I believe. Is that the correct pronunciation of your name? Did I at least make an effort at it? Yeah, that would be kind of a cool thing to do. You could probably freeze an ant with moonlight. Okay, have you ever been able to convince a flat earther that any of their positions are wrong? No. But then again, that's not my job. My job is not to convince people that already have their mind made up on things. My job is to give good information to people that are exploring this, that don't understand, or never really learned a lot about earth science or STEM education. There's a lot of people out there that, weren't science students. I don't know why they wouldn't want to study science, because, it's got to be the coolest thing that I've ever known. But there's a lot of people that don't know these things, and when these flat earthers come on out with their really, what they do is they put enough of a shred of truth in the things they say that they almost make sense unless you know better. For example, I'm an educated guy. When I started looking at this back in October, November last year, the question was, well, how do you know the Earth is rotating? Well, because it is. I've always known the Earth was rotating. I mean, I see sunrise and sunset, but how do you prove it? Well, how do you prove it? And then all of a sudden I started learning about things like the Otvos effect and the Coriolis and how to calculate centrifugal force and Foucault's pendulum, and having a real close look at how the sunlight appeared at sunrise and sunset. And I started noticing the clouds were lit from underneath because I'd never really paid attention to these things. And that's what Flat Earth did for me. It made me actually pay attention to some things that I never really gave a lot of thought to because they were kind of givens. I mean, they were settled science. But now, you want to know how I know the radius of the Earth? I can give you 4 different ways right now. And I can do the math for 3 of them. I got to practice a little bit on the Great Circle courses. That's a 4-step process. But I can do Al-Biruni. I can do Eratosthenes, of course. I understand sextants. These are all things that I've really started paying a lot of attention to since I started getting into Flat Earth a little bit. Yomero 6666. Hi from Mex. I got a consideration. There is a law used in photography, the inverse square law. Explain how lights fade with distance and the sun never fades with distance. Okay. And how much sunlight are you dealing? How much light are you dealing with in photography, and how much light is the sun putting out? We're only seeing parallel rays from the sun right now. If you actually look at the shadow of the moon cast by, the shadow of the Earth cast by the sun, it's basically just a long black ribbon that goes off. I mean, it doesn't taper to a point for many times the diameter of the moon. So you're dealing with something that's basically going out in parallel, almost like a laser, so to say. I mean, the lines are parallel. So as far as that, that's probably the best answer I can give you right now. Anybody on the panel seem to have a better idea? I have a question for you, though. Yes, there is an inverse square law. How come there's also a law of perspective that says that the sun would shrink if it was local and getting further away? How come we don't see that? The other thing that I think that you would probably want to look at as far as this inverse square law is look at how far an astronomical unit is. It's about 94 million miles. The moon is 250,000 miles away from us. There is nothing on the Earth that is more than 8,000 miles away from any other point on the Earth. So you're looking at you're not doubling the distance from the sun to the Earth and quartering the intensity of the light. When you're dealing with anything locally here on Earth, that's probably why you're not seeing any fading anywhere on Earth.
I think it's, if you were to make it like a scale model of the Earth and the sun and look at just how big and how far away those distances are, just the small amount of movement from the Earth's rotation, that's rather insignificant in comparison to the overall distance of it here. So the angle really doesn't change overall.
Okay. Hey, I got a compliment here. You're the first person I've heard to pronounce Foucault properly. Yeah, it's the Foucault pendulum, I believe. My pronunciation is not the greatest, but I think I did get that one. Yeah.
Please try pronouncing Eyjafjallajökull. The volcano.
It's pronounced volcano. America. America. Freedom Cabinet's right there, man. But I think that's probably why I wasn't born in another country, is I can only speak English. That's just one of those great mysteries of our time. It's, like, what were the chances Lou Gehrig's would catch Lou Gehrig's disease? It's almost astronomical, but these things happen, man.
Yeah.
Johnny, I would love to talk to you about science such as gravity work in engineering and how it is used, as I am an engineer with a degree. If you're an engineer with a degree, I'm thinking you probably know something about gravity already, don't you, Johnny? Gary, that's a very respectable and honest position. I just feel frustrated. What are you talking about? Trying to promote STEM education for people that are listening, rather than dealing with the Nathan Oakleys of the world? Yeah, it's fun. It is kind of fun to just kind of get under their skin once in a while. That just satisfies the 12-year-old in me immensely. Yeah, go to Uranus and check the fade. Yep. I bet you there's not a lot of sun around Uranus. Casual Spaceman's out there somewhere, isn't he? How you doing, my man? Your studio's looking good. You got your green screen up. Everything's looking great. I remember when you were basically just sitting in a closet holding a phone out. But you put out some good. You put out some good videos. Casual, let me. Where are you? Type something in chat, so at least I can wrench you and you can post a link to your channel up there. We got anything else going on here? Let's see. Yes, sunlight doesn't seem to follow the inverse square law because the distance changes we can observe are negligible. Yep, exactly. That's my point. No, there's not going to be a debate right now, Paul. I don't have anybody to debate.
We could try to fake it.
I could fake it. I wonder if I could just do my two personalities and have one. I could have Flat Earth Bob and I could have Reality Bob. No.
Sorry, Bob.
That's been done.
I have a 6-month-old border collie puppy who needs to go. Just my 2 cents of wisdom. I'm a trained radio astronomer, and I used to have public talk lectures, as you would call it, at the local observatory. And since there were public talks, a lot of common people were in there, and there is a huge difference between us studied, engineered, astronomers, whatever people that have at least how should I say, an idea about sizes and distances in space, and the common people that have no clue about cosmic distances because they just can't imagine that the moon is 30 Earth radii away and that there is 95 million miles to the sun. They just understand a quarter of a mile down to the next 7-Eleven. That's where their imagination stops, and that is the problem. We're used to thinking in 3-dimensional space we can imagine 90 plus million miles of the Earth being away from the Sun and 180 million miles of Saturn being away. But people that don't have the understanding, the ability of thinking in 3D, they fall for the stupidity of flat Earth because it just makes more sense of a closed sun 6,000 miles above the flat Earth and not a huge sun 95 million miles away. That doesn't get into their stupid heads. That's my 2 cents. My apologies. I have to get my border collie puppy out, otherwise she's peeing on the floor.
Well, we shall not have her pee on the floor. All right, well, there's a couple of things here. First of all, who is they, Flat Earth Bob? Foxy asked me. It's everybody except for you. So
no, I'd say it is everybody who just has a very shallow horizon of imagination.
Hail to the pen, per Woodworker Don. You know, here's the problem that you run into is most of the people that go through public schools and don't go into the sciences. You know, I went into the biology aspect. You went into radio astronomy and such. Most people that don't go into that field don't really spend a lot of time knowing the nuts and bolts of, you know, how to calculate these things or even some of the major physics beyond, hey, for every action there's an equal and opposite reaction, and that's one of those laws from Newton, isn't it? You know, they just don't do it, and as a result, they don't really critically think about a lot of these things. They don't sit down and try and figure out, just like I didn't. They don't sit down and try and figure out, well, how, if somebody asked me to prove the Earth is rotating, how would I do it? Okay, it took me a while to kind of do that. I got into the flat Earth debate basically because somebody put up a post that said the Earth can't be curved because airplanes would have to dip their nose. Well, I'm a pilot. I don't dip my nose, and more importantly, I know why I don't dip my nose. And so I put together a little thing on my dining room table with my trusty Woodworker Don pen, and you know, I figured that would be it. Well, here's why they don't. And oh my God, the fight began. And now 250 videos later, you know, I've gone, this has started to actually come to the point that I converted my daughter's old bedroom to a studio. And I actually do these videos a lot. Plus, you know, of course, I have my day job, which takes a lot of time. But it's kind of fun to do.
I think it is, but still they don't understand the difference between flat and level.
Yeah. So you explain it to them, and they don't understand it because they don't want to understand it. But there are people out there that do. They do want to understand the difference between flat and level because they thought to themselves, well, I really don't know if I do know the difference between flat and level. Well, so what is it? Oh, well, there's a video there. How do I calculate the radius of the Earth? Well, here's 4 different ways of doing it. Oh, that's kind of cool. And that's why I do it. I mean, it's fun. It's good review for me. You know, it makes it easier to answer the questions of my kids who are in high school, or at least one of them still is. And the other thing is I didn't pay a lot of attention to trigonometry and algebra. I understand the concept behind calculus, but I don't have the algebra to do it well. And this is a great review of trigonometry. It's a great review of algebra. I don't know, maybe I'll just get a wild hair up my tail one day and decide to learn calculus. Well, in order to do that, I've got to sit down and learn algebra first, and I've just got to work on it a little bit because I'm kind of weak in it. Am I a master debater? No, I'm not a master debater. I don't master debate because, quite frankly, I don't like to get hairy in places that I'm not supposed to be hairy. Besides, my eyes are bad enough as it is. See, I got some eyeglasses in honor of P-Brain the other day. Here, let me show you guys. This is kind of cool on streams and stuff, so now the lights aren't getting all in my eyes. You know, feel like
That looks good on you.
Yeah.
Those pilot glasses.
Now I just got to get one of those lever action shotguns and learn to twirl it. Oh, wait a minute.
No,
Do I get another one here?
going back to what you're talking about with the the education of the students here. The one thing I also notice here too is like a lot of students can recite the the various Newton's laws, but they really don't internalize what that means.
Right. Tell you a story about my son who was playing JV football a couple of years ago. He was at, by the time you get to the JV level, especially in my little town, which kind of lives, eats, and breathes football, these practices are getting a little serious. And I picked him on up, and he looked like being rode hard and put up wet. And he goes, "Dad, what a day it was. We had to run 40-yard dashes. We had 14 of them." And he goes, "Let's see, that would be 10 times 400 plus 4 times 560 yards I had to run, Dad." And I'm thinking to myself that he didn't do that math in his head the traditional way. He used Common Core for that. He broke it down, and, this is something that I really like about Common Core math, is it kind of teaches understanding rather than memorization. Many of us can just recite off the top of our head what 12 times 12 is, because we learned our times tables up to 12 times 12. What's 15 times 16? Do it in your head. All right. It would be 16 times 10, 160, plus 80, be what, 240? A lot of people can't do that in their head anymore because they either have to write it down or they don't understand the relationship between the numbers. And, the ability to use numbers in relationships. One of the things that I had to do as a doctor is, this is America, so most people kind of know their weight in pounds, but most drugs are dosed on kilos. So I weigh 195 pounds. Well, how many kilos is that? There's a couple of different ways you can do it. You can divide it in half and add a tenth. Just change the decimal point. Or you can sit down and say that, 5 kilos is 11 pounds, and 11 is kind of an easy number to work with. 10 times 11 would be 100 and 110 plus 7 times 11 would be, 187. And then the difference between that and 195 is about 3. So I got 17. So I got 17 times 5 plus 3. And that's my weight in kilos. I can do these things in my head a little faster than I can even say them. And, a lot of people just don't like working with numbers like that. And that's not something that you're going to see in the flat earth too often. Well, guys, what time we got here?
Well, the more reason why we need to go metric.
Metric? Yeah, well, I do try and do some metric once in a while for, for those people that haven't landed on the moon, because it is science. But I don't know. I tend to use yards and feet in my head. I do know that the speed of light is 1,340 furlongs per millisecond. And, I like to use that in a sentence once in a while. But I have a decent feeling for the metric system. But a lot of the things that I do are in yards and miles and feet. That's just a bad habit that I have. I try and break it, and I try and do take some consideration for the people that are using it right. What else we got?
Well, over here in Ireland, we are metric. But the neighbors in Northern Ireland, they are imperial, so they measure in miles and yards and furlongs and whatever strange measurements they have over there. Yeah. So you basically learn to convert between the two.
Yeah. Now, what county are you from over there?
Sorry?
What county are you from over there if you're
County
near
Cork.
Northern Ireland?
County Cork, which is in the Republic of Ireland, what you would call Southern Ireland. Northern Ireland is just
You're in Cork?
Is a sixth, between a sixth and the fourth of the area in the northeast of our tiny little island. I myself, I'm German. I moved here 20 years ago, so I'm honorary Irish, so to say. But what my stepson said to me, said, why should I learn all that stuff? My cell phone's got a calculator, and I have a short link to Wikipedia on it.
Yeah.
That's what we get from kids today.
You know, my dad used to say that. There were a lot of people that took the engineering exam with him when he went to get his license that said, well, it's open book, we can just do it then. But a lot of them weren't able to finish the exam because they didn't have time to look up basic things that they should have known from engineering school. My dad made sure that he had those right at the tip of his tongue every time he needed them. And that's one of the reasons he got through his exams the way he did. All right, so Alice missed. Wie geht's? He, whoever that is came on up and said that apparently I'm a lightweight. So I'm trying to figure out exactly what they mean by that.
Wimp.
Yeah, well, I'm trying to figure out why they seem to think that I'm a whip. You know, I don't know. Is that perhaps a challenge? Perhaps they have something that they would like to discuss in the 6 minutes that we have left. Perhaps we could discuss it another time.
Maybe it's the fact you're 195 pounds.
Oh, that I'm 195 pounds? Oh, could be. Could be. Well, 195 pounds and 6'2". I'm not fat and I'm not skinny. So I'm getting fatter as I get older, though. That's kind of the problem with not dying young. All right. So casual spacemen's in Northern Ireland. The reason that I was asking that question is my family is from County Donegal, which is just west of Northern Ireland in the Irish Republic. And my great-great-great-great-grandfather Thomas Dorgan came over from there. He was going to come over and he had one final little thing to do. Before he came, he had to walk a goat and a pig to market for this farmer out there. And apparently they decided to wander off a little bit, so he wanted to get their attention, and he took a pebble, just a little pebble, and just threw it at the pig to get its attention and killed it. So it was just a pebble, though, tiny little pebble. And so he had to stay an extra year to pay off the pig. And then he got on over here, and of course, by the time he got done with his indentured servants, he moved out to Michigan, and you know they kind of called him up and said, "Hey, you got to swing on by Allegan." And you know, the muster officer is there because it was 1862, and they had something they wanted Irish people doing, and I don't think it was farming. But he came on over there, and you know, you look at the muster book from Allegan County in 1862, and you see all these names there, and there's only one annotation by a name, and it's next to Thomas Dorgan. It says still a resident of, or still a citizen of Ireland. Not sure he's going to become an American just yet. So I think, you bastard, you were a draft dodger. That's what you were. But, you know, he'd only been here, 10 years? But they came over about, I'm thinking he came over around 1855, I think, is when he showed up. Well, in any event, guys, it was nice talking to y'all.
It's good
I still
talking
have
to you
a little bit of an echo out here. I think that this is something that we can probably do in the future. Get some stuff together. Today was basically just a live fire test. And
I need to fix my camera.
So I've got to fix that. I got to fix that
By
little... What?
By any chance, are you close to Petoskey?
Petoskey? Yeah, I sure am.
Oh, yeah? Okay. That's a beautiful place up there.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, little Traverse Bay and all that.
Mm-hmm.
I don't really care for Petoskey. I like Traverse City a lot better. And the other place that's really nice, another place that's really nice is Houghton, Michigan, up in the Keweenaw Peninsula. I'm a closet Uper. And that's just the area that I like. You know, I spent a lot of time in Alaska too, and there's just way too many people in the UP. You know, you got to get on up there, and if you can see somebody on the road, there's probably too many people. But we'll see.
Come over to Donegal. It still is a very sparsely populated piece of Ireland. Thanks for having me. My little dog is now pestering me. I say goodbye. Thanks. See you again. Bye.
Thank you very much for stopping by and helping me out with some of this stuff. You know, the streams that I've done in the past were kind of difficult to do because I was trying to do it all on just a little laptop. But now I've got a pretty cool setup. I've got my main screen here in front of me, and then up here I've got a television set that's got a second display on it. So I've got the meat up there, and then I've got everything that I can see right here by the camera. So it really worked out pretty well. It's a lot easier to use and put together. And the mic, of course, I could probably use a little more soundproofing out here. I'm thinking that might be where some of that echo is coming from. This area was not designed to broadcast from. That was more over in that area, and that still needs a little more soundproofing as well. But at least I got the mics tuned up over there. So, guys, thank you very much, and I do appreciate y'all coming by. I think we'll probably shut this stream down. And
thank you for having us.
Hey, let's do it again sometime, but we'll announce a time and have some subjects and have some stuff prepared. I just basically wanted to see if the darn thing would work.
Yeah, thanks very much. I'll try and get the camera working for next time.
All right, sounds great. Let's go see what we need to do here. I think in order to shut this down, I got to go back to OBS. There we go. And take care, gentlemen and ladies. Thank you for stopping by.